Affairs. My name is Kayleigh, and today I'm here with the new mayor of Marion. Why don't you introduce yourself, Mayor, and give us some background about yourself and a little bit about your family.
Well, thank you, Kayleigh. It's a pleasure to be here this morning for my first event on TV 39. I greatly appreciate you having me here today. So to tell you a little bit about myself, I was born and raised in Marion, Ohio. My family goes back over 100 years here in the community, way back in history. I do like history, too. Like I said, I was born and raised in Marion, Ohio. I went to Marion City schools. I went to county schools. Shortly after high school, I began college and also started my military career. So I joined the military after high school. And upon getting back from the military, took a job at the Marion County Sheriff's Office, where I spent about 4.5 years working as a dispatcher, a jailer, and then a deputy. After that, I hired on at the City of Marion Police Department in 1989 and culminated my career there being chief for about the last 7 years of my career. So I have about 38 years total in law enforcement and public service. Also, which is deeply entrenched in my family. My dad retired from the Marion Police Department. My brother was the colonel of the State Highway Patrol here in Ohio. Have in-laws, nephews. In our family, if you're not in law enforcement, you're in healthcare, and that's pretty much what makes up our family. So we're all local here. We're all from Marion, and love spending our time in Marion, raising our families in Marion. And I have been married for 36 years to my wife, Christina. We have 2 grown children, Carson and Chandra, and have 3 grandchildren, 5, 6, and 7, Canaan, Colson, and Angeline. So that's what I spend a lot of my time doing now, is spending time with my grandchildren.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. Your core runs really deep for Marion, which is really nice. So how has the transition been as the new mayor?
The transition for mayor has been, we're only into almost completing 2 months already. But back when I decided to run, as you get closer to the election day and you start actually working then to decide what you're going to do, what your priorities are going to be. And so you kind of put in a plan into place before you ever take office, and you try to put some people into place that are going to be your core group of advisors or the people that work with you. The transition has been very different than law enforcement in that, as chief, I was the chief. And as mayor, you're really the mayor, but you also have people to answer to.
Yeah.
You answer to all of the people in Marion. And Marion's made up of 3 forms of government. We have the legislative branch, the administrative branch, and the judicial branch. So, we answer to city council too. So a lot of the things that I do or the plans I have, we have to go through city council with that. And there's a lot of new members on city council. Everybody's just kind of feeling their way right now. And we just had a very good meeting this past Monday night. I think people are finally starting to, settle in. They're learning the ropes, and they know what they need to do on a day in and day out basis. So I think the transition is going very well, and hopefully it'll continue that way.
Good. Well, what made you want to run for mayor in the first place?
Well, so I originally started thinking about running for mayor about a year before the actual election. And to me, I felt like Marion had just gotten into a rut. So kind of like the movie Groundhog Day, if you've ever seen that. You wake up every day and everything's the same. You go to work, as long as the garbage is getting picked up and the police are answering calls and they're putting fires out, things are good. Well, you really can't, in city government, you can't really get complacent with that. So if you want to grow, if you want your community to grow, you want your economic development to grow, you have to come up with new ideas, and you have to be innovative about the way that you do things. So I think that was my main driving force. I saw a lot of investment in the downtown of our city. Back when I began my police career, In 1989, most of the buildings downtown were either bars or closed-up business fronts. So we didn't really have a vibrant downtown, and over the last 5 or 6 years, private developers have really taken an interest in trying to revitalize our downtown. And I thought, if the city would help drive that revitalization, we could go bigger, better, and faster. And that's what one of our goals as our new administration is, to help downtown development, as well as development out in the neighborhoods and our economic development. We really haven't had any new businesses that have really taken up roots here in Marion. So that's one of our big goals, is to try to get new investment in our community in the way of businesses, manufacturing, that'll provide jobs for people that live in the city.
That's amazing. So you talked a little about where your drive came from, okay? So how did you get to where you are today? I know you talked about being in the military, but where do you think it came from, your family or just your own drive yourself?
It absolutely starts with your family. I had parents that both had a lot of drive. Nobody gets to where they are without working hard, and they instilled that same work ethic in me. So it certainly starts at home when you're a child, and who you emulate as the people that you grow up with. And I became involved in scouting very early in my life, and rose to the rank of Eagle Scout. So, that took a lot of determination. And then you make it through high school and you try to decide what you're going to do with the rest of your life. I felt that the military was a good starting point for me after high school. And the military taught me a lot of things. It teaches you how to be structured, how to follow orders, how to get along with other people is probably the biggest lesson that being in the military had taught me. So when you go in the military, you're in a company with hundreds of other people that are from all over the United States, small towns, big towns, black, white, purple, it doesn't matter. In the military, you guys all have to work together. You have to get along, or you're going to have a hard time. And we learned that very early on. So I think that is what has helped me to be able to have such a broad spectrum of being able to get along with such a big group of people. And it taught me the lessons, again, that you need to work hard to get where you need to be. I had always thought I wanted to be in law enforcement from the time that I was a little kid. My dad would bring the cruiser home and eat lunch at home, and the other kids in the neighborhood are all gathering around to look at the car, and it has always been very important to me to help people that can't help themselves or really don't have a voice in what happens to them. So the world can be a crazy place. A lot of times, people can get caught up in that, and they don't know how to get out of that. And so I protecting and serving, even through the military and then my law enforcement career, became a big path for me along my life.
I feel like your military career was like a perfect foundation to becoming mayor. So I really like how you talked about transitioning from both. It was very nice. So now we talked about the past and where you are today. Where is the Love Our Neighbor project currently at here in Marion?
The Love Our Neighbor project, if we're talking about the actual project that was started a few years ago where the city helps clean up neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. So that project is going to continue. We've had a couple of meetings on that already. We work, that's a big collaboration between the city and many different aspects of the city, whether it's the streets department, the parks department, the garbage collection people. You have to coordinate all those things together. And we work with the Judge Teresa Ballinger and her probation department. We work with the probation officers who provide a lot of the workers that come out and help in those particular neighborhoods. So we're well on our way to identifying different neighborhoods that we're going to schedule to work in, and we hope to grow that project. As one of our, when we start talking about rebranding our city, everybody has seen our Love Your City moniker. And to us, the Love Your City moniker is more than just that. It's more than just a catchphrase. It's more than just an icon that you'll see And we want people to truly and really feel that in their city, that you love your city, you're going to take care of it. If you really don't care what happens to the city, you're really not loving the city. So we're trying to practice what we preach and being the driving force for that and loving our city. And when you develop something good that everybody likes, everybody wants to be a part of it. And that's what we're trying to do now.
That's amazing. So there's always jobs going on in Marion, but are there any jobs that are needing filled right now and that are urgent in Marion?
We obviously, our police and fire have just posted their test. I think they came down today or yesterday. But all across the nation, law enforcement is having trouble filling their positions. So, after a lot of the things that's happened in our country over the last 4, 5, 6 years, law enforcement really isn't a desired job that a lot of people are trying to go out and fill. So they're having trouble at departments all over the country getting enough people that are interested in law enforcement to actually fill those jobs. So I saw in Louisiana the other day, I think they declared a state of emergency because they have so few law enforcement people that they're kind of filtering in the National Guard. And that's concerning for everybody in the nation. We've been very fortunate here that our police department staffing level is currently full, but they're always looking to have that list ready. So when we have a lot of people that are retirement age, so they can retire any time now, and you don't know when that's going to happen. So you want to be ready to fill it with people to replace them. So I think our police and fire are doing very well right now. After we took office, we needed to fill a director of transit position for our Marion area transit, the buses that you see go around town. We had 2 people in that department, the director and the assistant director retired at the end of the year, and we have found somebody to replace them. And that was pretty exciting for us because they went about 2 months without having a director there, and I was kind of filling in for that. But we have those positions filled right now, and again, we're all just trying to get our feet under us and figure out what we need to do. But we have no vacant spots in city government right now that I know of that are causing us a problem.
Well, that's good. I know the weather has been fluctuating recently, but when will the Aquatic Center be opening?
Historically, the Aquatic Center always opens Memorial Day weekend, they hope. Depending on the weather. It's like today when I got up, it was about 60-some degrees, I think. Now when I came in here, I think it's down in the 40s again. So that Ohio weather, you just never know. But our parks department stays very busy, even in the winter, working on the Aquatic Center, whether it's replacing pumps or new equipment, painting the deck of the pool, and getting all that stuff so we're ready to hit the ground running when Memorial Day starts.
Well, that's good. Since we talked a little about the Aquatic Center, what about the Lincoln Park? I know you were talking about some new projects going on there.
That was one of our other major goals. Was Lincoln Park over the years, back in our day. When I say our day, anybody that's in their 30s and above or probably spent a lot of their time at Lincoln Park during the summer playing baseball, softball, t-ball, going to the pool, whatever it might be. And we've seen our numbers with the amount of kids that are actually playing ball in the park drop from over 500 to down around 200. And so the first thing that we worked on was taking a big initiative, like a membership drive, trying to get into the schools, get on social media, get out to the parents, let's get our kids enrolled in something that's going to give them some exercise, making of friends, and learn about hard work, which is what we talked about, and baseball does that for a lot of people. They learn the structure of baseball, they make friends, they make connections with coaches that they might carry through, into their adulthood years. So we're working really hard to bring those numbers back up, and in doing that, the park had kind of gotten run down over the years, and it is in need of revitalization. So one of our big projects this summer is to revitalize Lincoln Park. We've already put in a lot of new dugouts. We're working on all the fields, and we're working something we'll talk about in a little bit is partnerships, and we're working strong with those community partnerships that we have, whether it's with Ohio Health, Wyandotte Popcorn, Whirlpool. We're trying to get those people, and they are very receptive to taking some ownership in the park and making it look nicer. So in the way of donations and work, we're getting people in the community to buy in to bringing that park back to what it used to be, which was a focal point of our community.
Like you said, I feel like a park's definitely like the building block to a community. So it's really nice that you said that, and I'm really glad that park's being rebuilt, because I remember going there as a kid,
Absolutely.
too. So I read an article about one of your main concerns coming into this year was that you wanted to make sure the city's finances are in order and to restore the city's bond rating. How has that process been so far?
For what I am able to do and what I can control, we are still struggling very much with our auditor's department. That is an elected position, and Miranda was elected to that position to serve, another 4 years. And the struggles in that office continue. We are working very hard. I talk to Miranda about every day, and we are diligently working to get those issues resolved that have been building up for about the last 4 years. So it's not going to happen overnight. I'm not sure what city council will feel as we move forward, but we are making progress. The city continues to run day in, day out. We're still paying our vendors. Financially we're pretty good, but it's our bookkeeping that's not so good. So we're working on that diligently, but ultimately it boils down to that's an auditor's office function, and I can only do so much. I can't go in and take over the office and say we're going to do this, this, and this. She's the boss of that office, and but not to say that we don't work together. Miranda's a very nice person. We get along well. Like I said, we talk almost every day, and there's still a lot of work to be done there.
Yeah. So thinking about this, you just said you needed to be able to talk to Miranda about being able to. So how, as mayor, you obviously come in, you want to do all these ideas. How hard is it to actually do these projects? Because people just hear what you're going to do, but they don't think about the process. You've got to run it by people first in order to go through with it.
Right. And there is a process. I mean, you can't make a lot of these decisions just on your own and say, this is what we're going to do. You have to put, number one, you have to put the plan in place. Then you have to make sure that you have funding for that plan. And then you have to figure out where it's going to come from. And then you have to get approval for that funding. So that's kind of like the check and balances in city government are, the mayor, what we like to say is, the mayor likes to be the leader in putting the plan into place, but there's a lot of other components that go with that, and city council being one of those, the people of Marion being another, and you have to figure out how to navigate that process. And, I think we're doing a very good job with being able to navigate that right now. And we're getting a lot of help and a lot of cooperation from city council, too.
Well, it sounds like you guys are making a lot of progress.
We're trying.
People don't know that process, so I think it's really nice that you said that. So you talked a little bit about the rebranding. What else are you wanting to rebrand in Marion?
So the rebranding, when we talk about rebranding, the Love Your City campaign is basically what we're calling it. And the Love Your City campaign, again, is just more than an election slogan. It's more than a phrase we use, to try to get the cheerleaders going. And we truly want it to be a movement where people react and understand when they see Love Your City, and people love it. I hear it every day. We love the Love Your City logo that you guys are using. And it has to be more than just that. It has to be more than just words or, a phrase on a billboard. People have to truly feel that. And we have a lot of people in this community that have been here a long time that really love their city. And they don't like to see the city become stagnant over the years. They want to see it continue to develop. They want to see it continue to move forward. And in order for us to keep local people here that graduate from high school or college and find a job outside of our city, we want those people to stay here. We want teachers to be local teachers. We want them to stay in the community they're in, because when you have investment in your community, you're going to be a better citizen. If you're just here for a job and then you go back to Delaware or Columbus every day, you don't really have buy-in into the city. Because so what happens after your job really doesn't concern you, because you're going back to your community. And we want people to understand that we're bringing a lot of things into this community that you can get in bigger communities. So there's a lot more things to do. We have a vibrant downtown. We used to, my wife and I, whenever we used to go out to eat, we were going to Delaware or Columbus, somewhere like that. We can stay in Marion all week now because there's so many different options and nice places to visit and spend your money here locally that you don't have to go outside of town. So that's what we're really working on with that.
I love that. So what is new at the Recreation Center?
So the Recreation Center had been a project many years ago. We used to have Parks and Recreation. And back in 2012, when we had a big financial collapse and we were laying off policemen and firemen, and the Recreation Department kind of ceased to exist, right? So we still have our Parks Department, but we really don't have a city-led Recreation Department. And that kind of fell on, we do have other avenues in the city to help address those issues. The YMCA, a lot of the faith-based churches, communities have soccer, basketball, those kind of things where kids can get involved in a sport if they would like to. I think where we miss a lot of things that we used to have, the city schools run a summer food program. And when I was at the police department and we started the Impact program, which was us getting out in the community, so people knew officers other than, a lot of times kids only seen officers when they were at the house for a domestic or doing a drug raid, and how could you not expect those kids to have a bad perception of somebody that's there to protect them, right? So we put a lot of effort into getting out in the community so the kids would see the officers as people that they could think of as, a safety net. And we partnered with city schools, and we would go to the summer lunch programs. And I know back when I was a kid, I used to go to Garfield Park every day at noon. I would run from my house over there because I knew that the rec department was there, and we were making crafts that day, or we were making something to take home to your parents. Just having fun, for an hour, if it was only an hour a day. And they would hire high school kids during the summer to come and run these programs. And that's something that we really want to get back to, whether it's on a limited basis and maybe something we do in the summer to partner with the Marion City Schools. We're talking to the Marion YMCA. So the rec center it was rented by Marion City Schools and used for another purpose for the last couple of years. It is again vacant. And the last time it was vacant, it sat vacant for a long time, started to deteriorate, took a lot of money to get it back up where it needed to be. We don't want to see that happen again. So we're going to keep that recreation center active. And we're looking at our partnerships. Again, we're talking about partnerships with Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, Marion City Schools, to have that facility open at least on a part-time basis, mostly after school, so kids could go there and get after-school tutoring. They could also go there and get after-school recreation, play basketball, volleyball, and have activities for them to do from the time they get out of school until, it's time to go home because it's getting dark out. Mom always says you got to be home by the time it's dark. So that is something that we're meeting on very regularly and hope to come up with a plan very soon to have that open and useful again.
Well, good. So we talked a lot today about what was going on in Marion. Is there anything new projects that you're wanting to talk about that we may have missed?
The only thing that we didn't hit on was Marion has a big housing shortage right now. And when we talk about affordable housing, it can be much different. Affordable housing to me could be much different than you. I have a job, I've been around a long time, you're a younger person, you have a job that may not, so it's different. So what we have done, we haven't had a new neighborhood in Marion really built for 25 years or so. So we have met with 3 different developers from the Columbus area because they know that it is a top priority of my administration that we get new neighborhoods in Marion, so we need new housing because we don't have enough. So we are on the fast track to really getting some projects started, I think, in that area. So you may see some new neighborhoods starting to pop up in Marion. We're looking at somewhere on the north end and somewhere on the south end, and all of those things are just in the planning phases now. But the big thing was to get the interest from Columbus, because that's where the builders are, to come down here and invest in our city and build a community. So we're on track to get something done there too.
I hadn't realized it had been 25 years since.
Well, Chateau Ridge is probably the most recent development, that was built, and that's over 25 years old. We've had a few additions to the Fair Park area, but those again have been, they're 10, 12, 15 years now that anything new has been built up there. So we're focusing on those 2 areas to add additional housing so people can buy a house, start a family, and stay here in Marion.
Yeah, because like you said, I do see a lot of vacant homes, when I'm just driving, and it's crazy. There could be a business in here, there could be someone home living here, so it's really nice that you're bringing that community back in and bringing more people into Marion, because like you said, people are leaving once they get older, so you need to invest in your city, which is really nice. Well, thank you, Mayor, for coming down today and meeting with me. And as always, I am your host, Kayleigh Aiken.
Television land.
That old song, Amazing Grace.
That old song, Amazing Grace. That song, Amazing Grace. It's time again for another Word of Truth TV broadcast.
Who are the people that serve part-time in the Ohio Army National Guard? We are your neighbors and friends. We are your sons and daughters. Our service is providing us valuable job skills, and it pays up to 100% of our tuition. We're proud to serve our state. We are your Ohio Army National Guard. Learn more about part-time service with the Ohio Army National Guard at nationalguard.com/OH.